How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Omar Darwish.
And I'm Pratik Cherian.
And this is our review. We're going to go spoiler-free. Air, directed by Ben Affleck. This is his first movie since Live by Night?
Yes.
So, 5 years? It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love this movie. Pratik, you feel similarly, but less.
I enjoyed the movie. It's not a perfect movie. I think there's a lot of flaws to it, and I think a lot of the flaws have to do with I think it's a movie that plays things really, really safe. And I think in a lot of the ways that fails from it fulfilling the full potential of what this movie could be.
When you say plays things safe, do you mean like doesn't get into the controversy or what?
Not necessarily. I just
You felt like it was a paint by numbers movie?
A little bit.
Oh, I disagree. Man.
I thought it. I think my biggest issue with this movie is for a movie that's about a company and a division that's on the verge of in one case being eliminated, on the other case just not being relevant at all.
Sure.
I never really felt the stakes to it. And maybe that's because I know how the story ends. But I felt like even inside of the story itself, like all of the obstacles that Sonny Vaccaro, played by Matt Damon, all of the obstacles he encounters, he gets past them way too easily.
I don't know if I would say that. I mean, I think it's just because because we know that he's going to get past these obstacles because of history. So it's only a matter of time. And I mean, what do you want them to drag on like a 10-minute, like add another 10 minutes to each scene where he has to like come over an obstacle? Because like I felt like for knowing what's going to happen, it's like they didn't beat around the bush. You know, it's not like he just like solves every problem instantly. I'd say there was adversity in his way for sure. But going to what you're saying, this is my one negative with the movie. I felt like going with the stakes, they put all their stakes in like the emotional stuff in this movie, and I think the emotional stuff in this movie is the weakest part of this movie.
I agree with that
too. It's good, it's okay, but it's not what this movie. It's not the strength of this movie for sure. And they almost wait too late in the movie to get into the emotional.
That's what
stakes.
I was going to say. Jason Bateman's character makes this speech, but it comes towards the end of the movie, and you're just like, this may have been like more important earlier on.
But also without,
or like there's a scene where Matt Damon's character is like looking around the office, and it's like, oh man, all of these people's like lives could be like, I could have risked all of this. But again, it's at the end of the movie. Like maybe this would have meant more if some of this had been earlier on, because they keep talking about like, man, you're really making a gamble. Like they kind of emphasize how his character is more of a gambler.
Yeah.
But you never really feel like he's risking anything, and I think that kind of goes to that state.
So, I mean, without like spoiling what I feel like the message of the movie is, I think a lot of it is his character doesn't feel like, he doesn't care about others. He's only really cared about himself and his goals, and he'll gamble his life away because it's his life. He's not thinking about other people's lives.
I guess that's the other thing. Like the movie never really digs into his character beyond his job. Like
I think it does. I think there's little nuances that beginning of this movie and end of this movie, he has an arc.
I don't think he does.
You don't think he does?
I was thinking that same thing. Like if it's an arc, it's barely touched upon.
It's not like delved into super deeply, but I think it's there. Like I don't think you have to look for it too deep. I mean, he's a guy who goes about not caring about people to caring about people, kind of essentially. Like that's an over like broad statement of what it is, but like that's kind of how I felt. I felt like his arc was definitely the arc of the. No, I mean Ben Affleck doesn't really have an arc. Nobody else really has it. It's him that has Matt Damon has the arc.
Ben Affleck is. First of all, I want to say.
Let's talk about Ben Affleck.
I thought he was really good at this.
Me too.
Actually.
I thought
he was phenomenal. I honestly, all of the acting in this was exceptional.
Yeah, for sure.
There were I think the only character I didn't really care for was Jason Bateman's character, but that has nothing to do with his performance.
I always love Jason Bateman. He's just playing himself in this, so it's fine. Like
it's just him with long hair.
Yeah. Do you know what I think it is? I think it is because they put so much of the emotion on his like one jarring. Oh yeah, I got all this going on at home, so it's like
I think it's more that like anytime that Chris Tucker was on scene, it was fantastic, and I really enjoyed him. And anytime that Ben Affleck was on screen, like I really enjoyed that, and like Damon and the interactions with everyone that's the strength of this movie. That's the reason to go see it is for these performances.
The cast is incredible.
Bateman's the one where like again, not that he did anything wrong, I just didn't feel that same like chemistry between them.
Between Bateman and Damon?
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I feel like if anything, that's the friendship that we follow throughout the movie the most, I guess.
Maybe that's
and that's probably why it didn't work for you as well as it did for me.
So, yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not like, look, give me a sequel to this of like a buddy cop movie between the two of them. I'm not saying that, but like for what the movie was trying to do, I felt like it was really good for a movie where you know everything that's going to happen. If you know what's going to happen, I felt like they touched on everything that needs to happen. It was very funny at parts. The script is really good. I was thinking about this. It felt like a script written by Aaron Sorkin, but like where he's not as witty. Like he's quick. He's still quick, but he's not as like not
the script is written by Aaron Sorkin, but not the dialogue.
Yeah, almost. It's but in a good way though. The pacing of the dialogue was so well done. Like I really appreciated that.
I thought like as people were saying lines, it felt so believable because that's the way that people talk. Where like you don't like tell a joke and then like pause for laughter. Especially when you're in like a work setting, like you just kind of you drop it and keep moving.
It was great. It was great. I felt like this movie took me to the 80s. I've never been there. I was born in 95, but this for everything I know of the 80s, this felt like the 80s. I felt like they captured it. They must have spent $1 jillion on the soundtrack for this movie.
Let's talk about that super fast.
The soundtrack?
Not the soundtrack specifically. The 80s. Not even that. But just so...
My personal birthday of 1985. Is that what
Just let me finish.
Okay.
Did you find it like, did it start to bug you how all the transitions were kind of the same?
Not... What it would transition with the song? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like every single transition was like, all right, now we're transitioning, and here's a song, and big exterior shot, and it started to feel real like that specifically. It's not something that usually like bothers me, but the fact that it kept happening over and over again, it felt like a CW transition almost.
Maybe I ignored that, conventional, like, I guess stereotypical, like, transition because the camera work of this movie was pretty insane. Like, I won't say the cinematography was incredible, but, like, just literally the shots they were getting and, like, the movement of the camera, I felt like it always worked. So every transition scene, it would open with a shot that's just, like, boom, like, perfect. So, like, and the music always fit the scene. So, yeah.
They just all kind of started. It just started to feel like, can we get any other transition?
Maybe I didn't notice it. I mean, I guess I did a little bit, but it didn't bother me. Maybe if the movie was like 4 hours long or 3 hours long, I'd be like, okay, yeah, can we? Like, this is just cut to cut to cut to cut. But no, I thought it worked for me.
Zack Snyder did this movie, I wouldn't have watched it. So,
I mean, Ben Affleck, you got all the pieces. Let's talk about Ben Affleck though. As far we talked about his acting, directing wise, what do we think? Like, what do we think of the direction of this movie? Because it seems like your issues are more script,
a little bit more
issues.
A little more script and story. I don't have any complaints from the directing. I don't think it's his best work.
It's really well paced. I thought it's almost 2 hours this movie, and it felt like an hour and a half for me. Like it flew.
Yeah, it did go by that part. Yes, I still have it below Argo and The Town, but
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would rank it there, but let's talk about Michael Jordan himself.
Fine.
It's not a spoiler. They didn't cast. There's not really. Is it a spoiler to say you don't really see Jordan in this?
No, I don't think that's a spoiler.
Okay,
they've come out and said that before the trailer dropped.
Yeah, exactly. They've come out and said there's no real like
Jordan character,
right? I thought the way they went about it was perfect.
I disagree.
I could see how you could, but I felt like it was smart, and it seemed like they clearly had to do some workarounds, and for having to do workarounds, I felt like it was perfect. Like you could almost not tell. Like
yeah, I'm assuming that there's some sort of rights licensing, some sort of reason why they couldn't use him.
It's either that or they couldn't find like someone who could really capture young Michael Jordan. Maybe. And like they were like, well, let's just use real footage of him and then make it really about
the
him.
Real footage part. Like I don't mind that. I think the part that's weird to me is when he's in these discussions with shoe companies and
just not saying anything,
like not react, like we don't get reaction.
But he's a kid, like his parents would be doing the talking.
Sure, no, that makes sense. But like you feel it in those scenes specifically.
In certain scenes,
like for the majority of the movie, right? Like the movie's not about Michael Jordan. The movie is about Nike.
And you feel he's still the star of the movie without even being like, I would say. I mean, obviously Matt Damon is the star of this movie, but like he's still the star of like what's going on. It's all, you feel Michael Jordan's presence in this movie without him being there, I would say.
Fine.
Maybe not. Maybe you don't. I did. I really liked it.
I didn't think it was important there, but I thought the scenes where we see just the back of his head, like I thought those stuck out because it just wasn't natural at all, and it felt like they were working around the fact that.
Would you have preferred if it was like, oh, where's Michael? He didn't come. Like
no,
because I think that's lazier. I felt like this, at least they had to do some interesting shots and camera work and shading.
Could we not just like deep fake him in? I don't know. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah, maybe. I imagine they tried. Tried and they didn't work. I'd like to know the story of like why Michael Jordan is not in this. Maybe they've said it in an interview or something. But
maybe, yeah.
He didn't need to be in it. He definitely didn't for me. I loved it. You want to score this, or is there anything else you want to get into?
No, I don't think so.
I'm gonna give this a 9. I'm gonna give this a 9. My only, like I said, my only real gripe is the emotional stakes. They wait too long in the movie to make it to give you like a reason to care. But like I was having so much fun that it didn't really matter to me. The stakes aren't why you go see this movie, I guess. He's spoiler. Jordan's gonna side with Nike. We've got them right here for you. This is the spoiler review. This is the spoiler. But I loved it. 9 out of 10. Critique.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Okay, yeah. We're not too far on this.
No. Like I said, I overall liked it. I love the acting. I love the dynamics and the character work, and that's the reason to go see this movie.
Yeah.
All of those scenes are spectacular. I just thought that the broader plot of the movie doesn't quite work and doesn't but have
it's real
stakes.
life.
It feels more like it's a vehicle for these actors to just act and not so much like to actually say anything. I don't know. It's good, but it's not. Not mind blowing.
I'll disagree with the actually saying anything. I felt like there was a message here, but it's not like a super deep like brand new message. But like I felt there was a message here, and I felt like it was delivered.
I don't know.
Well.
The whole thing felt a little safe. I don't know.
Okay. I won't disagree. It's a little safe, but I enjoyed this. I could see this being like a comfort movie for me, like Social Network or something, like where I just throw it on and like always watch it. Social Network's way better, but it's got that punchy dialogue that I really enjoy. So there you go.
Fine. All right, you want to take us out?
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you guys next week. I think we got another movie review next week. Was it Mario Brothers, something like that? We'll see you guys next week on the channel for something. See you.
See you then.